for the more popular among people. And so this is what the aim of the system, and connecting between doctors in and around the world. That is particularly those who are practicing and those who are studying homeopathy. As you all know, today we have a guest in Dr.C. Veena Bhms. After completing her BHMS, she was there at Trivandrum with Dr. Bhagilashmi, one of the leading homeopathic doctor at Trivandrum. And she had a very good experience with her. And later she shifted to Hyderabad, where she is running a homeopathic clinic. And she is having very good practice nowadays. And she has an experience of 10 years, and she has presented different sessions in our forum, and all those sessions were really excellent. And particularly, she is concentrating more on philosophical aspects of health, disease, as well as homeopathy. Today, Doctor will be talking about why homeopathy science should be sung. This is a question. Why? That question itself is a very good thing that to be noted, and we everybody should know. Everybody maybe knowing that why this thing, but the most important point are to be heard from Dr. Veena. So let us invite our beloved guest of the day, Dr. Veena, to this session. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you. Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Can I share the screen, sir?
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So good evening to one and all present here, and to all my fellow homeopathic doctors and the homeopathic followers. Thank you for a wonderful opportunity given by IFPH once again to me, trusting on my abilities. Thank you so much. And first of all, I submit my pranams to our master, the great Hanuman, and to all my gurus. So our topic is today, why homeopathy should be sung. So today I would keep the topic on mostly on the philosophical aspects of the science. And today I would like to take excerpts from a talk by writer Jay Mohan and a book by Dr. V.S. Ramachandran, which is on the phantoms in the brain. So my major talk on these two things. One is a talk by writer Jay Mohan, and on a book by V.S. Ramachandran. I was awestruck with the aspects of homeopathy by going through both this talk and also the book. So since I was inspired by these two, I thought I will share some of my experience with our fellow homeopaths on these aspects. So, so I'm paying my courtesy to both Jay Mohan and also to V.S. Ramachandran. So, can a science be sung? This is a famous quote by Nataraja Guru, who is a direct disciple of Narayana Guru. So, he has written a composition on wisdom. That is, the absolute is the adorable. On this, he has mainly touched the aspects of Bhagavad Gita, which is the holy text of Sanatana Dharma. So in this, he has given a topic stating, can a science be sung? So why is it so important that whether a science can be sung? So majority of the science aspects or science aspirants, they always think it is when it is scientific, you cannot make it aesthetic. That is, if you touch the beauty of anything, probably it does not fall into science. So science is considered mostly as dispassionate. But he says, Nataraja Guru says, science can be sung. Anything which is wonderful, which is beautiful, that can be sung. Science is as wonderful as anything else. So it can be sung. So he takes the code, the text of Bhagavad Gita or the Gitopadesam as and he claims it to be a song and a science at once. So these are the excerpts which I have given in the PPT. So this is the exact words written in the book. So the Bhagavad Gita claims to be a song and a science at once. So absolute truth is a wonder and hardly anything more than that. The flash of, for example, if you see the lightning in the far off horizon, is both a plain fact and a wonder at once. The sunset that a scientist watches is both a glory and a fact. It is not necessary to banish the appreciation of one in the favor of the other. So if you see the aspect of science in a sunset or in a lightning, it doesn't mean that you should lose the glory or the beauty of it. So the plainness of facts could still be a wonder of wonders. So he says this is the biggest science which has been ever sung in this world, that is the Bhagavad Gita. So science and song can be blended, enhancing the value of each other when the science involved fulfills its highest role. Singing a science would become normal and respectable when the song agreed perfectly with its own high theme. This is what he narrates about this. So when we say Bhagavad Gita, it is having the greatest height of imagination, where it is a war field wherein the Krishna is giving Upadesha or advice to Arjuna, where the Arjuna is in a soric state. He is having anxiety about meeting his own relatives in the war field, and Krishna is trying to give advice on how not to get panicked in a war field. And he says, he just narrates the Gitopadesa, and its construct is very logical, but the Upadesha starts at a high state of imagination. That is nothing but the war field, wherein Krishna gives the darshan and he starts giving the Upadesha. So if you see how we have seen a lot of art forms, sculptures, paintings, drawings, whatnot in this one topic of Gitopadesa. So we can see a lot of art forms. So how good or how height the imagination is at the in this picture. So, but how does it flow? The Gitopadesa flows in a very logical manner, and the construct is highly logical. And Krishna keeps on giving advice to the Arjuna for not getting panicked. That is the high regard of syphilis, meaning he is giving enlightenment to Arjuna. So, what do we think? If Arjuna is having a question, how would I encounter my own relatives, my own kith and kin in a war field? This is the question. Is it not a fact? Yes, it is a fact. Is it not a wisdom? Yes, it is a wisdom. But Krishna asks him to encounter them or advises him that in a battlefield, going back or getting back, once deciding a war, after deciding a war, going back or getting back or giving up is not the right thing. And a war is to be played for the establishment of dharma, which is the highest moral in this world. So when he states this, when he is stating this, he is taking this in a logical manner, and at the end, Krishna does not advise Arjuna to go and fight. He just told him, these are the facts, and you just go by your own intuition. This is what he says. What you believe, what your gut feel says, you take action accordingly. This is what Krishna gives. So this intuition which is given is taking or opening the path for Arjuna to march forward in the war field. So this is heights of imagination where there is a logical structure of conveying the message of facts, and then deriving the Arjuna to the right path by his own intuition, not by a preaching or advising. So this is just a metaphor which I have taken to explain few of the things about homeopathy. So when we say, can a science be sung? Again, I'm coming to the same topic. When can a science be sung? When we see a lot of things are sung or kept on repeating or made easier and made poetries. For example, everybody knows when there is an action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is Newton's third law. It has been constructed so easy so that everybody follows it. It becomes a song so that even a small child of like 5th class, 6th class, they are able to utter this. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Everybody knows that. This aspect can be applied to physics, can be applied to daily activities, can be applied to anything wherever we want. So likewise, if we go, an energy can neither be formed or destroyed. This is again a song or an easy phrase which has been running through generations, wherein we are familiar with that. So how to make a science easy or familiar with the layman? It is by singing songs or making it easier, giving the aesthetics. How would you give give an essence easy? By making it understandable with lesser sentences, with core meaning not getting lost. So this is how any science can be made familiar. So what we have to do, we have to even take the homeopathy to the layman through easier understanding, through common language, with the aesthetics, without losing the science in homeopathy. This is what I'm going to talk about more on this. So what are the methods of perceiving knowledge or wisdom? See, when we say wisdom, anything, but there are many keywords in this world. For example, when I say Ram, we a lot of thoughts crowd into our mind. We get to know, like, it's a Ram temple, it has come, Ram was the best Raja, or Ram is the ideal god, what not. We have a lot of things, like Bharata ruled in his absence, Sita his wife, she was sent to forest, all these things. So a lot of thoughts crowd in our mind. So any thought, any keyword will give a lot of thoughts, and to control the thoughts or the imagination, we need logic to pull the imagination and keep it in a boundary. Otherwise, this imagination will keep flowing. So any keyword will give us imagination, and to limit it to a boundary, we need logic in that. So any wisdom can be perceived by three things. First is imagination. Through imagination only, we can make ideas, and from there you can derive concepts also. So if there is no imagination, we cannot even form a statement, so, or a hypothesis or an idea. So for a wisdom to be perceived, we need clarity on imagination. Then what is logic? Logic is nothing but it has four important prospects. One is objectivity. That is, you should be able to see what is in front of you. Then you can be able to generalize it. Then after generalization, it should have a certainty, and that may be with a suspension. See, for example, if there is a forecast of weather, they say generally it rains in May in Kerala. But because the monsoon, or because the depression is delayed, there is a delay in the monsoon by a week. So that is called suspension. So any logic should have certainty, but can be with a suspension, and should have a definite structure. Anything today my talk or the Bhagavad Gita or any book we take or the repertory what we study, the Materia Medica what we have, everything has got a structure. So any logic, it would have a structure. Then the other aspect of perceiving knowledge is through intuition. So we will just have an idea about all these things. I will just give some few examples for understanding these three aspects of perceiving knowledge. Before going to that, we have three fallacies. See, when we are given a statement, to understand the statement or to undergo what is the logic construct in that, or to analyze what is that science, whether it is a fact or a bogus one or a fake one, first of all, we need to be open to see the facts. See, anything, if somebody says, no, if there is a rain, then the mind starts thinking of randomly associating many things. Rain is good, rainbow may come, how would I go out? All these things. So many random association is a fallacy. So avoid that when you are going to approach a statement, scientific statement, to understand the statement. Then we have the negating fallacy. That is just simply for everything, say it is not correct. That one, you cannot prove that. This one, what you say is a half truth statement. This negating fallacy, this is what is not allowing the allopathic people or the modern science to understand homeopathy. The moment you say homeopathy, they say it is bogus, it is placebo, it is just working only because as a luck, like that. So negative fallacy is one big stopping point which is not allowing any statement to be perceived or any knowledge to be perceived. So the modern science people should be open to, should wither off the negating fallacy to perceive the knowledge about homeopathic science. Then we have the paraphrasing. So when we say paraphrasing, it is nothing but modifying the statements. For example, when we say love is the basic emotion, somebody can take it as affection, somebody can say attachment. These are all different words but have a different meaning. So paraphrasing is again a fallacy. When we say similar cures similars, and if somebody is going to say same cures same, it is not one and the same. Similar is different, same is different. So dissimilar is different, same is different. So we should understand the paraphrasing fallacy is a big stopping point for understanding or perceiving any knowledge. So these are the three fallacies which we should wither off to understand or perceive knowledge about any science for that matter, especially homeopathy. So I salute great Master Hahnemann to give such a beautiful science based on this imagination, logic, and intuition. So we'll just go through some examples to understand what is these three aspects of perceiving knowledge. Then we will come to how homeopathy falls in this logical pattern. So when we say imagination, we can say this Stephen Hawking, he is said to be one of the brainiest in our times. So he has given a lot of theories. His book about A Brief History of Time is all about questions, and he has given answers for everything slowly. So he is highly brainy. He has attained that only through his intuition and imagination and logical thought process. So when we say imagination, he has even told, if at all, if we go to space tomorrow and identify another planet, what all should be, and we are landing in the planet, what all should be taken from the earth to that planet. He has given 14, he has given a list of 14 things in his book, A Brief History of Time. So just imagine what kind of deep thought process or imagination he has contributed to the science. So tomorrow, when somebody is going, we have a base. We have to take these things. Why? Because he had high brain, high logical thought, and a great set of imagination. That is how his Big Bang theory, his explanation about black hole theory, everything has evolved. And so this is one aspect of imagination. And when we go to intuition, what is this gut feel? Trust your gut feel. We for everything. See, whether should I go out or not today, whether should I carry an umbrella, whether it will rain today or not, whether I should say yes for this, no for this, whether should I take this business or not, should I give this medicine to the patient or not. Everywhere a small amount of intuition along with science. It's not only the intuition which is going to make you march forward. It is the basic science and facts and the logic where you have a small portion of intuition wherein it will open the channel for you to march forward. So when we say intuition, the great example is August Kekulé. He is a scientist. He is a chemist, basically. They were finding the structures of all the carbon compounds like methane, ethane, everything. But benzene ring, they could not end up with the final structure. So he was keeping on pondering that about the benzene structure, how to fit this structure. Everything is in a chain, how to fit in this benzene structure. So he slept with the same pondering, and he had a dream of a snake having its tail on its mouth. So it gave an idea for him that it may be in a ring structure, and that is how he discovered the structure of benzene ring. So this is a great dream which came as an intuition for him to derive at a scientific fact. You cannot just say it is infactual or it is all coincidence that it be like that. No, when somebody ponders, there comes the intuition or the gut feel to help them to understand what is the real scientific fact in that. Even our rishis like Ayurveda and Siddha, many of the sages have meditated on things and they have attained knowledge of medicine. Medicine was not like how it is in the modern day today. They were not just proving it on animals, testing in labs, slaughtering the animals and giving a science. It was not like that in the ancient periods. So it is all through practical discoveries and also some part of intuition attached to it. So these are two aspects which generally any logical scientist or any science will definitely curb it at the root level itself. If you say imagination, they will cut you. If you say intuition, it will be cut immediately. But when we go to the big scientists like Einstein, who told E is equal to mc square, or the Newton, who made a lot of inventions on light theories, gravitational force. How did he invent? He was just pondering why the apple is falling down instead of going up. Then he understood that there is a force. Then he gave a name. Then he derived the formulas. All these things happened only because they're pondering on that and some intuitive thoughts, and they are putting in the logic. They see whether this intuition is correct or not. Then only they are giving to the world. When you see, even to our surprise, some two great scientists or two people of different parts of the world. Now, exactly, we are connected through web, internet, everything. But earlier days, they were all like islands, living here and there. But they had similar thoughts, and two people have worked on the same theories and attained same knowledge or different knowledge or a little bit different knowledge. How is that possible? Because this is a cosmic intelligence which is there, spread over. So a person who is highly in the syphilitic state of mind, who is in the good syphilis, who has the wisdom, can attain it. So we cannot just negate that two different people can think alike. We can't say like that. There are proofs where different part of people from different part of the world had also same ideas. Now coming to the logic. So when we say logic, as I told, objectivity, generalization, certainty with suspension, and a logical structure is mandatory to put anything in logic. So when you say science, definitely we have to prove logically to understand the facts behind the science. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Now, coming to Hahnemann, when he was translating a book, he got a line stating a particular chinchona bar can produce malaria-like symptoms and hence it can cure malaria. So he pondered on that. He first could understand that that is a fact because it is written in a book. It is there in the Ayurvedic literature. It is there in proverbs available in ancient days. So now when we see, this is a familiar fact. Now he thought he wanted to apply, so he just consumed it and witnessed that he is getting the symptoms. Now he was convinced that it was not a total imagination, so he made a concept or hypothesis stating similar cures similar. So he just tried many other medicines and found to be producing a set of symptoms. Then he just treated the patients with these same similar remedies and found to be useful in getting rid of the disease, in curing the sick. That is how he has logically, or by seeing the objectivity in that particular fact, he understood that this is a big science. Then he generalized that logic, like if cinchona can do, any other plant or animals or any other substance can produce symptoms. He generalized it and he applied it. And then he thought, when we give a medicine, it is producing the symptoms. But what about poisons? We cannot give it directly. So what did he do? He potentized. Then when he treated the disease, when the dose is more, he thought of diluting it. So similar cures, similar, but with a dynamic dose. That is the certainty with a suspension. And he gave the full Lord Book of Organon, which is again considered to be the holy textbook of homeopathy, which has got all the basics in that, which is logically structured to make us understand what it is. So can we, just because of having a negative fallacy, just go and say that this is an absurd science? No, not at all. The people are doing that, but science, like how the sun, though you cannot just cover it up, likewise the scientific facts will keep coming out. You cannot stop it. So when we go to the homeopathy, which is the ultimate wisdom, when we see Hahnemann discovered similia similibus curantus, that is the like cures like. Then he told miasm, which is the defensive mechanism to adapt and survive. So if you go to the modern pathology textbooks and immunology, everywhere it is mentioned that homeostasis and what is the, if you take the modern pathology textbook, it is in sora, psychosis and syphilis. First it is cell, then it is cell injury, then there is cell adaptation, then there is cell necrosis, then there is edema, cyst or any accumulation or deposits, that is psychosis. Then you go to the neoplasm, then it is a cancer. So in the pathology textbook itself is an evidence for the miasm. It starts with sora and ends with syphilis. So this is the general pathology what we study today. So though it were only at a very nascent stage at his times and has evolved multiple times in this 21st century, but we can see his in-depth thought process and his intelligence to discover the miasm, which is the biggest discovery. He himself claims this is the biggest discovery what he has made for humankind. Then he said, treat the man in disease. So every man has got a different emotion for a particular situation. So this has been again explained by the release of neurotransmitters. Like some are happy, some are angry, some are sad, some are panicky. All these things are explained with the neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, all these things. So he has told, treat the man in disease and not the disease. Now, we have the modern neuropsychologists also giving more importance to the to treat the man. But definitely the modern pathologists or the modern allopaths, they don't have this visibility on treat the man and disease. That is why they fail very badly in all their treatment part. So maybe emergency medicine, I do agree, but not in all the cases. By just relieving the symptoms, they cannot claim that they treat and cure the disease. So then again, next is the potentization of medicine. Now, in the later part of 20th century and 21st century, we are into nanotechnology and quantum physics, which is trying to understand the potentization of the medicine and the part of medicines which is just curing the human beings. And he told about individualization and treating the patient through individualization, thereby hitting the genetics, epigenetics. These are also evolving. In his times, till 1843, 1855, all these sciences like immunology, nanotechnology, we have never heard. Then about genetics, it was just evolving. It was in the very nascent stage. So you just, I couldn't even imagine the intelligence of this master who has put forward a science which is homeopathy, and just because people couldn't accept the fact or the science have not evolved to understand what it is, we are just curbing by our limited knowledge, stating that it is a placebo science. What a bad luck. Dissimilar diseases, he has explained, where Dr. Vijayakar sir has put in his theory of suppression. So what is it all about? So it is like when you treat the disease and when you are suppressing it, it goes into the patient. It is going from SORA to syphilis. So the theory of suppression was well explained in his Organon textbook, that is the dissimilar diseases. How do the similar diseases, dissimilar artificial diseases are produced, that is the side effects which the modern treatment is bringing on. All these things better explained by Hahnemann himself. Then we have the Herring's law of cure, which is the basis of our fallout. So we have now the embryology. When you see the embryology, how the embryo develops, how the baby develops from the first day till it gets out of the womb. So Herring's law of cure is miraculously based on that particular embryology, how the embryo is getting developed in the utero. So was the science that much evolved at that time? How surprising it is that the master has given all these things and Herring has followed him and give us a law of cure that is above downwards. The body is developing head to foot. So from below, above downwards, center to periphery, like that. So when we see the embryology, we can correlate all the four prospects of the Herring's law of cure. Then he is saying about the totality. Now the emerging field is integrated medicine, and we have some theories or conflicts which are given by Hammer's German New Medicine, wherein they are giving the mind or psyche is the main reason for the bodily ailments. This Hahnemann has explained before. He has given importance to the mind. And if you see the Kent repertory, he has given more importance to the mental generals and the physical generals. So, how can we not say that homeopathy is not an ultimate wisdom? It's a big ultimate wisdom, and we have to accept the fact that because it is logically fitting, it is scientifically proven, and only the science has to evolve to approved or discover more about how it is working. How now even we are talking about genetic therapy by deleting genes and all that. How homeopathy is going to the genetic level, the DNA, and giving the results, fantastic curative results. How is that possible? All these things should be, the science should be evolved to explain all these aspects of homeopathy. So now this is more about the logical construct of homeopathy and proving it as a science. Today, I think I am becoming the devil's advocate, rather a God's advocate for homeopathy, standing by and speaking for the truth of homeopathy. The allopathic science or the modern doctors, they are curbing this science just because they have limited knowledge. They have to see what is homeopathy, what is the science behind homeopathy, how it has evolved, what is the logic construct in that, and then sit on this and try to understand. Then they will also fall in love with homeopathy. They cannot anymore negate homeopathy because the results are there, but we just wanted to understand how it is working behind. So only the days going forward will establish how good or how big is homeopathy. So now I would just quote some of the neuropsychological aspects of homeopathy. This is not my discovery or anybody else. These are excerpts from a book called Phantoms in the Brain, written by Dr. V.S. Ramachandran and Sandra. And he is a neuroscientist working on the neurological aspects of many psychological or many behavioral aspects of human beings. And this book was for the first time written in 1998, and he has spent almost 30 to 40 years in this work. And since he belongs to the modern science, definitely the modern scientists should accept how homeopathy is fitting into all these neurological sciences. So I have taken some 7 cases which is written in this book and trying to just give you forward the rubrics which is available already as provings in our textbook. And what Hahnemann told is, if you have these delusions or these aspects in a patient, and if you treat the patient, that disease, whatever may be, it will get cured, because the imagination is the reason for any pathology in human being. This is what Hahnemann says about disease. What is the cause of the disease? How to treat the cause? So the treating the cause is the fundamental miasm, and the background is the imagination, which is making the man or a prey to the disease. So his thought process or imaginations are slowly affecting the physical body of the man, and he is ending up in pathologies. So this is what Hahnemann has told, and we would just go through some of the cases and the rubrics which are available in our repertories. So attention, I'll just read some of the lines. Probably I may take 10 more minutes. Is it okay, sir? Hello, am I audible? Hello. Hello, may I go forward, sir?
Yes, you are audible and you can continue.
Yes. So see, I would like to have 10 more minutes, sir. Is it okay?
Time you require?
10 more minutes.
Okay, you continue.
Okay. So
very good going. Very good going. You can continue.
Okay. So now, see, this Dr. V.S. Ramachandran, he says that how is the right and left part of the brain works. You cannot slaughter some of the brains of human beings and experiment in a lab. There'll be 1 or 2 patients who was admitted in an accident, who have a disconnect between the right and left hemispheres of the brain, and they will have different behavioral symptoms after the accident. So there may be only 1 or 2, but you cannot go and slaughter a person, slaughter 100 people or 100 rats, then apply that, generalize it to the human beings. That is not possible. So what he says is, I think it is fair to say that in neurology, most of the major discoveries that have withstood the test of time were in fact based initially on single case studies and demonstrations. More was learned about memory from a few days of studying a patient than was gleaned from previous decades of research having average data. So what he is saying is, you cannot have a huge data to prove a particular thing because it is unique, and you don't have a facility to cut and slaughter and then reunite and just give this was the fact and we have done this experiment and this is the data. That is not possible in case of neurology. We will have only handful of patients or maybe one or two, but we will conduct the experiment and we will try to patch this with the behavioral aspects in the human being. This is what is the content, what he says. So inner science, still in its infancy, like neuroscience and psychology, he is clearly quoting that one word. Inner science, still in its infancy, example, neuroscience and psychology. So what he says is, by way of analogy, imagine that I cart a pig into your living room and tell you that it can talk. You might say, oh really? Show me. I then wave my wand and the pig start talking. You might respond, my God, that's amazing. You are not likely to say, but that's just one pig. Show me a few more pigs which can talk so that I can believe you. This is what is the analogy he himself is giving to the scientific world to understand his unique experiments conducted on neuroscience. So what about homeopathy? When they say it is a placebo, it is a coincidence. It is only because of the time which we spend in counseling the patient or listening to the patient that the patient gets all right. That is absurdity. The neuroscientist, he himself says, you cannot give data for everything. It is not possible. So you conduct you have a subject who has a peculiar quality and you are conducting an experiment. You can try to patch up with the behavioral aspects and say that is how homeopathy is also. We have a patient, we take the totality, we are giving the dynamic medicine and we are saying this patient is taking calcarea and his throat pain is all right. That patient is taking belladonna, he is getting all right. These are different aspects. You cannot bring 100 people for each medicine and prove that calcarea is working for throat pain, or 100 different people and say calcarea is working from head to toe. It's not possible. You will get a patient, you are applying the logic, you are getting the result as cure. Then what else do we require to understand that it is a science or not? These are excerpts from the book Phantoms in the Brain, which was written by a neuroscientist. It's not my words at all. So I have 7 cases to tell. I'll just go through fast about it. A man wearing an enormous visual cross dangling on a gold chain sits in my office telling me about his conversation with God, the real meaning of the cosmos and the deeper truth behind all surface appearances. So the God began talking to him after he suffered from temporal lobe epilepsy since early adolescence. This is a patient who is saying that God began to talking to him. And the neuroscientist is saying the temporal lobe epilepsy, which has affected the patient, has an impact on this delusion of this patient. That is what he is trying to say. If you go to our repertory, we have delusions, imaginations, God, deities, communication with that he is in. So we have only very few medicines. So when we say these medicines, these are all proved in human beings. So any person has a temporal lobe impact or any chemical or any neurotransmitters which is acting on the temporal lobe can produce a delusion, and by which if we had a pathology and we are going to try with these medicine, veratrum, stramonium, agaricus, hydrogen, these medicines are going to cure the patient not only from the delusion but also from the physical ailment what he has. The next case is an athlete has lost his arm in an accident to feel a phantom. That is, there is no arm really, but he is feeling the arm, and he is saying that I am touching the coffee glass with my this left hand which I have already lost. He is not getting the awareness that he has lost his hand. He is feeling the pain in the lost hand. How is it possible? He says there is a neuro aspect to it. I am not going deep into the neurological aspects. This is very much available in the book, but we should understand that there is a neurological background for this understanding or this delusion of this particular human being who has lost his hands. If you go to repertory, we have generalities: pain, amputation after phantom pain, amputation after phantom pain, breathing, deep amelioration. We have a modality there. Pain, burning, smarting, amputation after phantom pain, stitching, amputation after phantom pain. The next case is a nurse developed a large blind spot in her field vision. But to her dismay, she often sees cartoon characters cowering within the blind spot itself. That is her presentation to the neuroscientist. She says that she looks at me seated across from her. She sees Bugs Bunny in my lap. Or sometimes she sees cartoon versions of real people she has always known. So we have rubrics: delusions, imaginations, rabbit sees. Delusions, imaginations, phantom sees, animated, lively. We have only one medicine, that is spongia. Then a school teacher suffered a stroke that paralyzed the left side of the body, but she insists that her left arm is not paralyzed. She says that her left arm is not paralyzed. Once when I asked her whose arm was lying in the bed next to her, which is not moving, she explained that the limb belonged to her brother. Her own arm, which is paralyzed, she is saying that her own arm is of her brother's. This is a delusion again. Delusion, imagination, body parts separated, divided. Left half does not belong to her. Colchicum silencia. Next case, a librarian from Philadelphia who had a different kind of stroke began to laugh uncontrollably. This went on for a full day until she literally died of laughing. So these cases are presented with the situation what was the patient into. For example, this particular case where the patient started laughing is after the death of her mother. Then she started literally laughing and she has undergone a stroke in particular part of the brain, and thereby she started laughing, and the next day she is no more. So she was constantly laughing, but the pathology inside is hemorrhage in the brain on a particular area, but which is moving her to keep laughing. Delirium, laughing, convulsive, spasmodic, bell, stramonium. Then we have giggling, then that is hyoscine, and giggling wildly, laughing wildly, only belladonna. So if you see how wonderfully, how critical the statements are, how well the provers were, how intelligent they were to write these symptoms, and it has been logically constructed in a repertory. In those days, with no computers, only with their mind and hands. How is that possible? Heights of intelligence. We have to really salute the people, especially Master Hahnemann, to contribute this biggest science, homeopathy. The last case. And then there is Arthur, a young man who sustained a terrible head injury in an automobile crash and soon afterward claimed that his father and mother had been replaced by duplicates. He is saying his own parents are not real, who looked exactly like his real parents. He recognized their faces, but they seemed odd, unfamiliar. The only way Arthur could make any sense out of the situation was to assume that his parents were imposters. They're somebody else. So we have the rubric: delusions, imaginations, strangers, familiar or friend or. So these are the rubrics which is available in our repertory. So elaborate case taking is being done by the neuroscientist, and he is giving explanation like which part of the brain and how MRI he can interpret that which part of the brain is involved. Maybe we may not have that deep pathology in most of the cases because it is only a delusion, but definitely the role of brain parts involved in all these delusions are evident, and they may be in a nascent stage before the pathology has set in the patient. Now we give a medicine, he will be cured from the delusion as well as the oncoming pathology also. How good the science is. None of these people is crazy. The neuroscientist says sending them to psychiatrists would be waste of time. He himself says rather each of them suffers from damage to a specific part of the brain that leads to bizarre but highly characteristic changes in behavior. They hear voices, missing limbs, see things that no one else does, deny the obvious, and make wild, extraordinary claims about other people and the world we all live in. So these are excerpts, again giving the aspects, neuropsychiatry. He is saying, indeed, we can pick up where Freud left off, ushering in what might be called an era of experimental epistemology, the study of how the brain represents knowledge and belief, and cognitive neuropsychiatry, the interface between mental and physical disorders of the brain, and start experimenting on belief systems, consciousness, mind-body interactions, and other hallmarks of human behavior. So at last, when we say there are art forms, music is the height of or the holistic aspect of the art form, and the rest of the art forms are down in the arc like this, placed like this. And to the midway is the literature, which is highly logical, then the philosophy, then we have the science in its highest logic is the technology, then we have other sciences, where the technology ends, then we have the mathematics, which has a high logical structure. So when you see music and maths, in music you cannot give the logic of how the emotions are derived with a particular raga, but you have a logical construct. So logically, maths and music are nearby. When Rajan Shankaran sir says homeopathy is like music, every patient is resonating to a particular raga or to a particular emotion or a particular phrase. And if you go and hit that exact resonating phase, he will be all right from the disease. This is what Rajan Shankaran says. He is attaching homeopathy to music. And what Dr. Vijayakar says, he says homeopathy is mathematics. You can predict with Herring's law of cure, with the miasms, you can predict what will follow, how the cure is taking place, whether the medicine given is correct or not. So these two, he has patched both the both different doctors have placed homeopathy under music or like music and also like mathematics. So we can place safely homeopathy, park this homeopathy between music and mathematics. This is my own thinking. So homeopathy to be sung, it should be made familiar to the layman with simple words and kept on singing so that the human race gets the utmost effect from homeopathy. So homeopathy is like cures like, unlike other system. Homeopathy is holistic approach, unlike other system. It treats the man, not the disease, unlike other system. It treats the cause, unlike other system. It has no side effects, no suppressions, unlike other systems. It is individualized, precision prescription, unlike other systems. It is nano, rather immaterial doses. It is quantum physics. It is epigenetics. It is cognitive neuropsychiatry, unlike other systems. So it has to be sung and it should be made familiar. And these are the scientific facts which I have taken from the neuroscientist book and have presented for the homeopathic fraternity to prove that homeopathy is a logical and a science by itself, and it is a healing art and has the ultimate wisdom to its science. So let me conclude by saying homeopathy must be tuned and sung with chorus for the harmony of the human race. Thank you. Thanks for the patient listening and for the opportunity given by IFPH today for me to bring this to the whole world.
Yes,
about
Doctor.
homeopathy.
Yes, Doctor. Veena is homeopathy. It should be and must be and will be sung. And this is what I have to say because your presentation was really a wonderful one. You have shown the beauty of homeopathy and how you can make one can think of this connecting homeopathy with the latest science and technology, and how as you told, it is only we are in the very childhood stage, I must say, as you say, as you have stated. Anyway, only time we have only few minutes remaining. I'm very happy to congratulate you for your excellent session in this evening. And please let us have some chat with some of our seniors out here. Dr. Veena Bhms, I want to speak to you first.
Veena, a big hug and lots of kisses on your buttocks. See, we want such doctors for uplifting homeopathy. Can you hear me?
Yes, madam. Yes, you may.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, wonderfully it is explained. Very good, Veena. Very good. Keep it up.
Thank you,
And now,
ma'am.
Hello?
yes.
Very nice suggestion.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. And now it's up to Dr. Sridhar Kurum sir to say a few words.
Madam, it was very good session. Thank you very much. Dr. Penfield, a neurosurgeon, when he was operated, that for an epilepsy patient, when that some problems in the head, that it was stimulated and his this was epilepsy was cured. That is in some psychological books it is mentioned. The TA books it is mentioned. So I want to like to add that. That is all. Thank you very much. Come again. Okay.
And thank you, sir. It's up to Dr. Ram Paresh sir to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Veena Madam. Dynamic lecture. Excellent session. Very, very thanks. Homeopathic is a really beautiful, beauty science, music and mathematics. Really, healing of art. Very nice presentation. Thank you.
Yes, now it is the time to wind up the session. I invite Dr. Mas from Malaysia to say the word of thanks. Dr. Mas?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Veena. I really appreciate the sharing, and your presentation has given us the conviction that homeopathy is the way forward for the new medicine. So I feel this is the time for us to actually show the extent of what we can actually, how we can contribute to the medical science. Thank you once again, Dr. Veena.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you so much.
Please wait. Tomorrow.